Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. My name is Sam Pugh. I'm here on behalf of GDOT. We are going to begin the presentation at 6:05, but in the meantime, there's some instructions on this slide to tell you how you can leave a comment or question in our chat feature, and we'll try to address these as we go through the presentation this evening. Thank you. Hello again, everyone. Thank you for your patience. We wanted to make sure we have a few minutes to give everybody a chance to get onto this presentation. Again, my name is Sam Pugh. I'm here on behalf of GDOT. We will begin the presentation with an introduction to the Transportation Investment Act Regional Coordinator, William Easton. He is going to give you a little bit about the history of the project. Thank you, William.
Good evening. I'm William Easton, the TIA Regional Coordinator with GDOT for the River Valley region. I wanted to go over what the TIA program is and how the Old Casita Road project was included in the program. Next slide, please. The Transportation Investment Act, also known as TIA, is a 10-year 1% sales tax that was passed by the citizens of the region in 2012. At the time, 3 regions in the state passed the regional sales tax: the Central Savannah River area, which encompasses Augusta, the Heart of Georgia Altamaha region, and the River Valley region. The Southern Georgia region also passed the referendum in 2018. Columbus, Muscogee, and 15 other surrounding counties make up the River Valley Regional Commission. Prior to the 2012 vote, the Regional Roundtable, which was comprised of local elected officials, selected the projects to be included in the region's investment list. This selection process included significant public input and was tailored to create a project list to meet the needs of the region. The TIA program consists of 1,022 projects program-wide with an estimated value of $1.58 billion. In the original regions, tax collections began in January 2013 and will end in December 2022. Next slide, please. The River Valley's investment list consists of 23 projects, with 3 currently in construction and 17 have been completed. The remaining 3 projects are in design, including the project we'll be discussing today. To date, there has been approximately $197 million spent on the investment list projects in the region. Next slide. We're here today to discuss and gain citizen feedback on the proposed interchange at Old Casita Road and I-185, as well as other corridor improvements to Old Casita Road and Casita Road. Next slide. Listed on this slide are the project goals and how they meet the needs of mobility, operations, connectivity, safety, and economic development. The first point is to implement the goals of the Georgia Enterprise Zone Employment Act of 1997. Easier access to the interstate would support economic growth and competitiveness in the project area. Point number 2, reduce the volume of through traffic on Farr Road, Ford Bidding Road, and Brennan Road while providing inter-regional connectivity to Casita Road. Point number 3, accommodate the existing future traffic around the adjacent St. Mary's Road interchange, including the anticipated traffic from proposed school development along Casita Road. Point number 4, improve travel times and reliability for drivers. And point number 5, reduce frequency and severity of crashes along the corridor with a 2-way left turn lane and the installation of a roundabout at a skewed intersection. Next slide. The existing conditions of the proposed project corridor are that there is no interchange at Old Casita Road and I-185. There is a skewed intersection at Old Casita Road and Casita Road, and there are no sidewalks or crosswalks along Old Casita Road. The average of the census tract surrounding the project corridor estimates 36% of the residents are below the poverty line and 19.2% are unemployed. Next slide. The improvements we are proposing: a new service interchange would be constructed at the intersection of Old Casita Road and I-185. This will require the realignment of Farr Road a quarter mile to the east of the existing intersection of Farr Road and Old Casita Road. The existing 2-way corridor would be widened to add a center 2-way left turn lane, and curb and gutter would be added along to the road edges. Sidewalk would be added to the north side with a multi-use path being added to the south side. 2 roundabouts will be added, one replacing the Old Casita Road intersection and the other at the proposed northbound ramp terminals to I-185. Next slide. Without this project, there would not be the infrastructure investment needed to spur economic growth in the area. There would be no interchange to improve interstate access to the area, and there would be no pedestrian facilities along Old Casita Road. The skewed intersection at Old Casita Road and Casita Road would not be corrected. Next slide. I'd like to quickly note that the right-of-way acquisition for this process has already been begun, and all impacted properties have been appraised. Once those appraisals have been reviewed by the Georgia Department of Transportation, offers will be made to those property owners. Any questions regarding specific property impacts and potential offers will not be discussed in this public setting. Our team will instead reach out to each affected property owner individually. If anybody has any questions or comments, please continue to utilize the Q&A function and we'll address those at the conclusion of the presentation. I'll now hand the presentation off to the project manager, Rich Coakley, who will go over the proposed project.
So I'm seeing the mouse move. I'm afraid Rich might be on mute.
Sorry about that. The mute didn't go off. So good evening. I'll walk through the project improvement and describe what's on the exhibit that we have on our website. And so this shows the legend to let you know what the symbols mean for the different line types and the colors that we have on the exhibit. And in the upper left corner of the project exhibit is a key that shows the property owner name with each of the parcels along the project. So the project will begin where we'll tie into the recently constructed roundabout at Fort Benning Road. Now, there isn't a good quality aerial photo that's newer than about 4 years old. So I'll just point out as I go through some things where there's been changes. So the line work, the blue roundabout that you see on the project exhibit slide here, this shows this has been completed and it's open to traffic now, and so we'll be tying into that. So this is the line work from the plan of that roundabout that's been constructed. Now, our section for the improved Casita and Old Casita Road corridor will consist of one lane in each direction and a two-way left turn lane in the center. So this shows a typical cross section, what it would look like. So at the beginning of the project here, we have proposed 12-foot travel lane in each direction and the 14-foot wide center turn lane. We'll have a 5-foot wide sidewalk on the north and a 12-foot multi-use path on the south side of the road. Now, this multi-use path was put in so that we could accommodate bicycles. One of the alternatives that we had looked at was possibly putting bike lanes on the road, but they're being accommodated on the multi-use path instead because it allows us to accommodate it with having less impacts through the corridor. As we move on through, you can see that it continues with the 3-lane section with the center left turn lane, and the multi-use path is on the south side of the road, so it provides access to the trail that was built the old railroad corridor, so that provides that's continuous throughout the project. Now at the old Casita intersection, we'll be replacing that skewed intersection with a roundabout. And this will be a four-legged roundabout that will also provide access to the sports complex that's being built by the school district. So these parcels here, these buildings have been demolished, and this is the area that's under construction now to build that sports complex for the school district. So as we continue on here on the north side of the roundabout, and this roundabout's been designed to avoid impacting a environmentally sensitive area to the north, and we're accommodating the additional access there. Now the old railroad crossing that's been paved over, those rails will be removed, so we won't have that going through the roundabout area. The other railroad crossing that's located here, that will be maintained. Now, for the Chattahoochee pallet business, we'll be moving their driveway so that it's not right in the railroad crossing. We'll be moving it so that it gets away from the railroad crossing. So that's one of the safety features that we've considered in this project. So here's the exhibit showing the typical section that we have in this area. So with the environmentally sensitive area and no pedestrian destinations on the north side, in this area we continue the multi-use path on the south side, and so this segment doesn't have the sidewalk on the other side of the road. Now this view, we've zoomed out a little more, so here you can see the proposed interchange that would be built to provide access with I-185. And this interchange will consist of diamond type diagonal ramps for access to and from northbound 185, and the control on Old Casita Road will be this roundabout. On the southbound side, the access will be in the form of a partial cloverleaf. So we'll have a loop ramp for the access onto 185 and the diagonal ramp that comes off of northbound. And then we'll have a stop sign controlled intersection for the southbound ramps. Now the Mount Baptist Pilgrim Church will be relocated. They've begun construction on the new church. Now because of this interchange and with the ramp coming in this location, we've needed to relocate Fire Road. So Fire Road will be realigned to go around the apartment complex and then tie in to Old Casita Road just to the east of it. So the signalized intersection now that's at the existing Fire Road will be provided here at the new Fire Road. The typical section that we have for the relocated Fire Road will consist of a 12-foot lane in each direction, and we'll have a 5-foot sidewalk on each side. And all of the roadway here within this project will have curb and gutter along the sides of the road. So this shows as we get east of the interchange, we narrowed it up a little bit, but we still have a two-way left turn lane going through here, and the project extends down and ends at Antietam Drive. Because beyond that, the road is blocked off. It's not open to public travel. So for the public, for practical purposes, the road ends here at Antietam Drive, and so that's where we'll end our project. We've narrowed it up a little bit here so that we've gone down to a 12-foot center turn lane and 11-foot travel lanes in each direction. We still have the 5-foot sidewalk on the north, and then we've gone down, narrowed it a little bit to a 10-foot multi-use path on the south side to provide for bicycles through here. So with that, we'll start addressing comments or questions that you have.
Thanks, Rich. The first comment I see coming in is related to the intersection. I believe this is about the intersection at Old Casita Road and Casita Road. We have a question. Has the left-hand turn lane on Old Casita Road been removed from the plan? And I think if you could go back to the slide that shows that intersection, maybe we could go into more detail.
Yeah, so if it's referring here, the only like turn lane that we're going to have here is a right turn slip lane, and that's because it's so tight with the angle between Casita Road on the east and Old Casita Road. So that it's a single lane roundabout, so there won't be turn lanes here.
Right, but people will still be able to access from the roundabout Casita Road in either direction, correct?
Well, it's the circulatory roadway handles all the left turns and the through movements through the roundabout.
Right, so I think that was what the question was about, access. Access. We'll confirm that we answered that question, but
Yes.
I'll move on to another question. How is the construction project going to impact the ability of members of the M.L. Harris United Methodist Church to enter and exit the parking lot facing Old Casita Road?
So you're saying the church that's here?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll still have the access. Now the parking spaces that are right off the road, that are really like within the road right away, that parking won't be able to stay. The sidewalk will be going past there, but the access, like the driveway, will still go in. So the driveways aren't going to be changed. The yellow blocks here show just a temporary easement to be able to blend the new driveway and to reconstruct a small portion of the driveway just to make it tie into the new road better.
Okay, good. So the access to the property will remain the same, but it's those parking spaces that are directly in front that I think right now there's 6, and you say they come into the project to the existing right of way, and those parking spaces are going to be affected.
Yes. Yeah, those parking spaces won't exist anymore.
I have another question. In 2017, we had 5 options being reviewed. Can we talk a little bit about those options and which one was chosen? I guess, so when we went to the public, I guess have those not, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, it's taken me a second. So have those options been narrowed? So I think, Rich, you can say at this point, we have narrowed down our options to this project configuration. So there's that question, that alternative that we selected, and we've had to make adjustments to it. This was the preferred alternative that came out of that coordination with the community.
Yes.
Is it any more we can say on that subject?
Well, based on the traffic analysis and the feedback from the public, and just looking at what the impacts are, this is the alternative that was selected. I mean, we had some different configurations that were looked at. So I mean, there was a consideration of a diamond set of ramps on this side that would have required relocation of this building. That's the Columbus towing. But it was decided that, you know, this with the issue with this, because this trailer park here, this was demolished before, so the trailers don't exist here anymore. So this ended up being vacant land, and some other considerations were the way these ramps are laid out. We got the spacing that we need between the ramp intersections and the other busier intersections, and the locations of these driveways where we bring this in. So we've got some requirements for spacing for the access when we put ramps to the interstate. And so this was the alternative that, you know, with all the different considerations, that worked the best.
That's good. Thanks, Rich. And I got a follow up about the question on the left-hand turn lane. It looks like I made a mistake. I misunderstood. The question was related to a turn lane before Staunton Road. Do we have an image of that, or can we go to the layout?
The two-way left turn lane.
Gotcha. Okay.
Will continue down to Staunton Road. And then beyond that, we have just striped out median because there's no place to turn here. And then we have a turn lane. So we're maintaining that width down to Antietam. So the whole stretch from the interchange, actually the whole Casita to Old Casita corridor will have the two-way left turn lane. With the exception of some spots where it's, you know, there's nothing to turn to, so then it's striped as just a single turn lane. So like up in this area right here is we transition, like after the signalized intersection, we've got a short section that's just striped median, but that width is maintained. So it's just a matter of how the pavement marking is put on it to direct drivers to its use.
Great, thanks for following up on that with that question. We've got another question about this may have to do with the use of roundabouts. It says here, sometimes the traffic can be very heavy at times depending on the time of day, and there's a roundabout near Fort Benning Road. Why another roundabout? Why not a simple red light to keep things simple?
Well, to put in a traffic signal, it has to meet the warrants, and it's just with the odd configuration there, with the odd skew with trying to fit the intersection in between the stream that's on the north side and the different movements here. It would be hard to make a signal work efficiently with the constraints that we have here. So from the traffic analysis and safety, the roundabout is the best option here. The roundabout reduces the conflicts, both the number of conflicts and the severity of conflicts. So I mean, it's basically, you don't get the T-bone type broadside hits at a roundabout that you could get at a signal. And if we tried to signalize an intersection that's that skewed, it still is more confusing for the drivers. So the roundabout, you know, with all the different considerations, was the best choice for this location.
Thanks for that. I wonder, GDOT has more information about roundabouts on their website, and we have linked that to the project website. I wonder if it would be a good idea to go to the project's website, and I could take just a few minutes to walk through that website and then show more information about roundabouts that is accessible on that website. And then we can come back to question and answer. Does that sound all right to you, Rich?
Yes.
Okay. Just give me a second here. This is the project site, which many of you might be familiar with now. It details, it summarizes some of the information we've already gone over on this meeting, and of course we were trying to advertise this meeting. A little bit more information here about why the project was proposed. We have a description of the benefits of the project in summary form here. And again, here is listed to the right is listed some of the project documentation that is accessible through our website. There's a project introduction presentation that follows provides some of the information that we've already presented. We have a project status report. The project layout, which I know from the chat, some of you have already accessed the project layout that Rich has used to build his presentation. That's available here. You can zoom in and out. There's some environmental documentation that we prepared for this project that's available here. We also have some right-of-way information, a summary of GDOT's right-of-way process, summary of GDOT's Title 6 and Civil Rights Act information, as well as stormwater and Section 106 of the Historic Preservation Act information. We have a few more details here about with the project description and some discussion, as we showed earlier, about if the project wasn't built. I want to also, we had some frequently asked questions. These are questions that came up when we went out to the public previously. We discussed here through these little drop downs when the project will be built according to the current schedule. One of the questions when we were here in 2017 and through ongoing coordination was how the project would impact the historic African-American neighborhood along the project corridor. There's some discussion here about how the neighborhood's impacts were taken into consideration and how, as we designed the project, we developed it with the intent of mitigating impacts to residents in the neighborhood. There's some discussion, of course, everyone wants to know how their property will be, access to their property will be maintained during construction. We discussed that here. Property access will be maintained for all properties during construction. And then coming back to this original question, which led me here, was why are roundabouts proposed on the project? Rich provided some good information about that, but I also wanted to point out here, if you want more information from the Georgia Department of Transportation about roundabouts, including some information on the use of roundabouts and tips for navigating a roundabout. If you're unfamiliar with them, you can find that information here. And again, just to continue on with this website, we have a discussion of how the project is being funded, which William covered earlier on in tonight's presentation, a summary of the environmental impacts, an overview of the right-of-way acquisition, and most importantly, I want to, while we're on this website, I want you to be aware of how we're collecting feedback. We're collecting feedback tonight through your questions, but we'll be continuing to collect feedback through December 3rd, and you can leave your comments firstly through the website. Just click on this leave comment button here. If you have trouble, and there's always, always things can go wrong with these websites. We also have provided the project manager's contact information, phone number, and email address. Likewise for, that's Joe Gillis here. Likewise for Mr. Easton, who we've already heard from tonight. His information is here if you would prefer to reach out in this method. That's all. I just wanted to take the opportunity to jump over to the website. Rich, if you want to go ahead and take us back to your presentation. We can continue with questions. So we had the question about right of way. That's where we left off. We have a question for clarity's sake regarding project easement. When GDOT takes easement, does the property then belong to GDOT? William, do you think you can answer this question? There's different types of easement, I know, but maybe we can talk about the differences between permanent, temporary, and driveway easements.
Sure. So we'll start with a temporary easement. In a temporary easement, the property owners are given compensation for temporary use of their property. Normally that's for construction. Normally the contractor during a construction phase will have to go a little farther outside the project limit to construct, say, a sidewalk or signals or any other thing like that. So those at the end of the project are then given back to the property owners. A permanent easement is just like a temporary easement, except it does not go back to the property owner. The property owners are then compensated for their land. And a driveway easement is similar to a temporary easement in that it's for the construction of a driveway. Since this is a project on a local road, it is not a state route, the land along Casita and Old Casita Road will be transferred to Muscogee, Columbus once the project is finished. But during construction, it will be under GDOT control.
That's great. Thank you, William. I have another question, just for clarity's sake. We want to make sure that people understand that while the project is under construction, access to properties such as the United Methodist Church will be maintained during construction. That's I understand why that's a concern, but yeah, just want to reiterate that. Rich, I have another question related to the area near the church. This commenter wants to know how parking will be affected at the I believe it's a convenience store next to United Methodist Church.
Okay, that parking will be, look similar to what it is today. There will be a sidewalk that goes across a portion of that property. But there's going to be the fairly wide driveway will be provided here. So, and then on Old Casita Road and the access where you can pull into that property off of Bedford, that's going to remain. So while the sidewalk will get into the parking area a little bit, the parking lot will basically remain the same as it is today.
Thanks for that. So I have a question here. How many people will be displaced by the project, and what is GDOT doing to find them housing? That question comes back to what William was talking about earlier in the presentation about the GDOT's right-of-way process. But GDOT is required by the Uniform Relocation Act to ensure that displacees have access to decent, safe, and sanitary housing. So that's that. No one will be displaced if if they don't have a place to go, and that's part of the right-of-way process. Let's see. I wonder if William, is there any more we should say along those lines?
For the displacements, I reviewed the concept report, which was approved, and they were estimating 15 displacements. And then along the same lines, that GDOT follows the Relocation Act to make sure that everybody's taken care of.
Thank you.
And this is William again. I'd like to clarify that permanent easements, those do go back to the property owners, but the GDOT or the county will have access to that property after construction, and the department pays a percentage for permanent easements.
Thank you for that. I have a question about traffic. Will traffic potentially back up during game times at the new athletic complex on the roundabout?
I mean, the roundabout's been designed, with projections of the traffic for this area, and the analysis shows that it'll operate satisfactorily. I mean, with a roundabout, as you get the gaps, the traffic from each direction can go through, and typically there's less delay than with stop sign control, or in some cases a signal.
That's good. Thank you, Rich. Oh, and I want to point out that our moderator, Jenna Osmond, provided a link to more information. You could just go to it directly about GDOT's right-of-way process. It's right there in our published comments. So I have a question that's probably on a lot of people's minds. When will the project be fully complete?
Well, it's the letting will be late next year, and then we show the construction is shown to take no more than 3 years.
Right. So if construction is able to begin in spring of 2023, that would mean we would see the project fully complete in spring of 2026.
Yes, approximately.
I'm scanning through to make sure we've addressed all the comments that we've received so far. We really appreciate these comments we're receiving from the public. I see, from what I can see there, the comments we've received through the question and answer feature on this presentation, we've addressed those, and I wonder if we could take another moment to go back through some of the comments we received. So as part of preparing for this meeting, I wanted to have some comments on hand, so we could, if any comments came in or were slow to come in, we could address them, these comments on hand. But we have covered most of the comments that we received prior to our meeting today. Looks like we might be receiving a couple right now. We have a few more comments about right-of-way acquisition process. And, you know, I understand this can be an issue of concern. Maybe, William, do you think you can, again, describe how the right-of-way acquisition process, what the status is now, and how it will go forward in the coming months?
So currently, all affected properties have been appraised, and those appraisals are under review by the Department of Transportation. Once that review is complete, offers will be made to the property owners, and we won't be answering specific property questions in this presentation. We'll be reaching out to those property owners individually.
Thank you, William. So right now I'm looking up a few questions and comments that we've received ahead of today's meeting. I think one of the comments we received was concerned about, I guess, how the project may be too car-centric. And this commenter was interested in knowing more about the project's walkability and how it may affect the neighborhood with more access to pedestrian facilities. Could we do another summary of some of the pedestrian features that we have on this project?
Yes, for most of the project, we have a sidewalk along the north side, and then the whole length of the project, we have a multi-use path along the south side. So all the way through the project, there's going to be the multi-use path that'll provide a place for bicycles to ride along this corridor, and the pedestrians can use that as well. And then through most of the project, you know, in any place where there's destinations for pedestrians on the north side, we have a standard 5-foot sidewalk on that side.
Yeah, and so a couple of destinations, big destinations that I see for pedestrians would include the sports complex that will be coming to the high school, and the multi-use path that runs, I guess it's perpendicular. Yeah, thanks, Rich. You're looking for it now. That is we'll be able to provide better pedestrian access to that path. I think it might be on the next slide.
Use it.
Yeah, that's it right there.
So this is where the trail is that's built on the old railroad right-of-way property. And so this is the park and ride parking lot where people can access that trail. And so you can see along here that we have the multi-use path along the south side of the road. So that goes, so there's sidewalk that was built as part of this roundabout project, and so we'll be connecting to that. And from there, we'll continue on with the sidewalk.
Yeah, that's
So
very good.
The multi-use path comes along down Casita Road, and then it continues on the corridor on Old Casita. And then from here, with the roundabout, the 5-foot sidewalk will continue and then tie into the existing sidewalk along Casita Road that's in front of where the old school is. We'll have crosswalks across every spot with the roundabout. And with a roundabout, we designed these splitter islands to provide pedestrian refuge. So that's one of the safety features of the project. Two is pedestrians, when they cross at a roundabout, they can cross one direction at a time and then have refuge in the splitter island and then cross the other direction. So at the roundabout, pedestrians are only looking at traffic coming from one direction at a time.
That's very good. Thanks for that. I have another question about, this may be more about how the project is going to be constructed. Will the project on Casita and Old Casita Road, or will we complete the project on Casita and Old Casita Road before moving towards Fort Benning? I think that's about a question about where the project construction itself will start and where it will end. Rich, that seems to be a question about how the contractor will decide how to build the project. Do you have some insight you could provide into that?
Yeah, well, when we prepare the plans for the project to be bid, we put in a staging plan, but the contractor is not required to follow that. The contractors frequently come back and propose how they want to build the job. I mean, we have to, as part of our plans, we'll show a way and we'll put requirements in the specifications. So this job will be built under construction. So it's like in the areas where we need to, we've included some temporary pavement to build some temporary lanes to shift traffic enough to build one side, and then we'll shift traffic to the new side of the road and then complete the road. So we don't have it proposed to detour the road, and we'll have a suggested staging scheme, but the contractor is not mandated to follow that. They can come up with their own way of building it and then get that approved by the department.
All right. Very good. Thank you. I have another question here regarding right-of-way and GDOT's appraisal process. I think this is, what is GDOT's process for dealing with counter appraisals? Let's see if we have. Do we have, oh, William, is that something that you can answer, or is this something we just need to point to a description of how right-of-way is handled in general terms?
Yeah, there is a negotiation process between our right-of-way managers and the property owners, and offers and counteroffers are part of the negotiation process. But that's really as far as I can go into it without knowing more about the specific property in question, which we'll answer individually with the owner.
All right. Thank you, William. I have a question here and I think I can answer this one. Will a sound buffer be installed on Casita Road going toward Fort Benning? How will sound impact the area from 185? So as part of the environmental assessment, we conducted analysis projecting the project's impact, sound impact. As we did that study, we didn't find that the project warrants the installation of sound buffers. It was just a matter of the sound walls, noise walls. This is just a matter of where how much sound may be generated over what's projected without the project. So when we did that analysis, we found that sound walls weren't warranted by the projection. And I can point to more details about that on the website I showed you earlier has a link to an environmental assessment document, and that document describes how decisions regarding sound buffers were arrived at. I have another question here. Will there be future public hearings, or is this it? So this is pointing out that the project won't start until 2023. It's a long time between now and the start of the project. Right now we don't have any plans for future public hearings. I think what we always do with projects is we do stay in touch with the public to make sure there's no surprises if the project were to change drastically, if the project schedule were to change, that might be something that that the department would consider having another public hearing. But right now, that's not in our plans.
And Sam, I'd like to add that Joe and myself will be available after the comment period ends, as we're still going to be working on this project. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to contact me.
Yeah, that's very, very good. Thanks, William. So yeah, we have a comment period that is running from now until December 3rd. We're accepting comments, and these comments will go into we'll provide a response to these comments and include them in our documentation for the environmental assessment that was conducted. But William is saying that even after December 3rd, you will be able to reach out to the project team with your questions and concerns. Thanks for adding that. I'm going to take another look at comments that we've received through that have come in since we started advertising this comment period. We had several comments approving the project and its design. Of course, some people have been concerned about construction. We've tried to answer tonight, maintaining access during construction. There's a question about the ramps onto 185. Rich, I wonder if you could go back to a slide showing the interstate ramps. And maybe just give a little overview about how access to the interstate would work.
Okay, the way this interchange is laid out, so the southbound side it's in the configuration like a partial clover leaf. So it's basically the intersection of the southbound ramps and Old Casita Road will work like a normal T intersection, where going away from Old Casita, you go on the loop ramp and then merge into I-185, coming from the north, southbound on I-185. You could exit and then you'll come along the ramp here and come up to the intersection with Old Casita. The ramps to and from the north, so coming off of I-185 from the south, like heading northbound, you'd come off and go to the roundabout and go whichever way you want to on Old Casita. And again, from either direction, you come through the roundabout and then you can get on the ramp going to the north on I-185.
Thanks, Rich.
Notice.
So I have kind of run out of questions, and we've reached the top of the hour. I wonder if if maybe we're getting new people joining the project. It might be a good idea to maybe return to our slides and go through them again. William or Rich, does this sound like an okay idea to you?
Yeah, we could do that. So,
Okay.
do you want to start from the beginning, William?
That works for me. We just want to do everything like we did at the beginning.
It might be helpful for people that are just joining.
Sure. So to anybody new that's attending, I'm William Easton. I'm the TIA Regional Coordinator for the River Valley region. Want to go over what the TIA program is and how the Old Casita Road project was included in the program. The Transportation Investment Act, also known as TIA, is a 10-year 1% sales tax that was passed by the citizens of the region in 2012. At that time, 3 regions in the state passed the regional sales tax: the Central Savannah River area, which encompasses Augusta, the Heart of Georgia Altamaha region, and the River Valley region. The Southern Georgia region also passed the referendum in 2018. Columbus, Muscogee is and 15 other surrounding counties make up the River Valley Regional Commission. Prior to the 2012 vote, the Regional Roundtable was comprised of local elected officials, selected projects to be included in the region's investment list. The selection process included significant public input and was tailored to create a project list to meet the needs of the region. The TIA program consists of 1,022 projects program-wide with an estimated value of $1.58 billion. In the 3 original regions, tax collections began in January 2013 and will end in January 2022. Next slide. The River Valley region's investment list consists of 23 projects, with 3 currently in construction and 17 being completed. The remaining 3 projects are in design, including the project we are discussing today. To date, there has been approximately $197 million spent on the investment list in this region. Next slide. We're here today to discuss and gain citizen feedback on the proposed interchange at Old Casita Road and I-185, as well as other corridor improvements to Old Casita Road and Casita Road. Next slide. Listed on this slide are the project goals and how they meet the needs of mobility, operations, connectivity, safety, and economic development. The first point is to implement the goals of the Georgia Enterprise Zone Employment Act of 1997. Easier access to the interstate would support economic growth and competitiveness in the project area. Point number 2, reduce the volume of through traffic on Farr Road, Fort Benning Road, and Brennan Road while providing interregional connectivity to Casita Road. Point number 3, accommodate the existing and future traffic around the adjacent St. Mary's Road interchange, including the anticipated traffic from the proposed school development along Casita Road. Point number 4, improve travel times and reliability for drivers. Point number 5, reduce frequency and severity of crashes along the corridor with a two-way left turn lane and the installation of a roundabout at a skewed intersection. Next slide. The existing conditions of the proposed project corridor are that there is no interchange at Old Casita Road and I-185. There is a skewed intersection at Old Casita Road and Casita Road, and there are no sidewalks or crosswalks along Old Casita Road. The average of the census tract surrounding the project corridor estimates 36% of residents are below the poverty line and 19.2% are unemployed. Next slide. Some of the improvements we are proposing are a new service interchange, which would be constructed at the intersection of Old Casita Road and I-185. This would require the realignment of Farr Road a quarter mile to the east of the existing intersection between Farr Road and Old Casita Road. The existing two-way roadway corridor would be widened for a center two-way left turn lane. Curb and gutter would also be added along the road edges. Sidewalk would be added on the north side and a multi-use path would be added to the south side. 2 roundabouts would be added, one replacing the Old Casita Road and Casita Road intersection, and the other at the proposed northbound ramp terminals to 185. Next slide. Without this project, there would be no infrastructure investment needed to spur economic growth in the area. There would be no interchange to improve interstate access to the area. There would be no pedestrian facilities along Old Casita Road, and the skewed intersection at Old Casita Road and Casita Road would not be corrected. Next slide. I'd like to quickly note that the right-of-way acquisition process has already begun for this project, and all impacted properties have been appraised. Once those appraisals have been reviewed by the Georgia Department of Transportation, offers will be made to those property owners. Any questions regarding specific property impacts and potential offers will not be discussed in this public setting. Our team will instead reach out to each affected property owner individually. If anyone has any questions or comments, please continue to utilize the Q&A function, and we will address those at the conclusion of this presentation. And I'll now hand the presentation back over to Rich Coakley, who's the project manager, and he'll go over the proposed project.
Good evening. I'd like take a few minutes to walk through the exhibit that's available on the website that shows our project, and I'll just like zoom into the different parts to highlight what's on that exhibit. So what you're seeing here, this is the legend to the exhibit. It's in the upper right hand corner. This shows you the symbols and line types that we use in the different colors to represent the different items in the proposed project. The upper left-hand corner is a key that shows the owner name with parcel numbers. So as you go through the exhibit, each of the properties along the corridor that have any right-of-way impacts, any purchases or easements along there have a parcel number. So here the aerial photo that we have for the high quality one is about 4 years old. We didn't have a high quality aerial that showed the newer, like more recent improvements. So here where the project will begin is like where we will be tying into the construction of the recently completed Fort Benning roundabout. So like I said, the aerial photo still shows the old one, but the blue lines here show what's been constructed, and this roundabout is completed and open to traffic. So we'll be tying in and begin our project just beyond that, and we'll just tie in where we can connect to it with our typical section. That's the basically a 3-lane roadway. It has one travel lane in each direction with a center turn lane. So this shows a typical section. That center turn lane will be 14 feet wide, and we'll have one 12-foot wide travel lane in each direction. There will be curb and gutter along the sides of the road. And on the south side, there'll be a 12-foot wide multi-use path that'll accommodate both pedestrians and bicycles. And on the north side, a 5-foot wide sidewalk. So here you can see as we continue through the project, we have the 3-lane section with the 2-way left turn lane in the center. Now the wider multi-use path that goes along the south side runs along the whole corridor, and being on the south side, it provides access to the trail that was constructed on the old right-of-way of the railroad through here. So this is a good feature for the area to help with the multimodal considerations where pedestrians and bicycles are served throughout the corridor. As we move along, we're at the old Casita Road intersection. That skewed intersection will be replaced with a single lane roundabout. Again, we'll have the multi-use path continues down along Casita and then continues on Old Casita Road. On the east leg of Casita Road, a 5-foot wide sidewalk will continue along the south side and connect to the existing sidewalk that's in front of where the school used to be. This site right here is where the school sports complex is under construction now. So this school and all these buildings have been demolished, and this site is under construction now. Now the old railroad crossing where the rails have been paved over, those rails will be removed when we build the roundabout here. The next railroad crossing that's located here, that crossing will remain. But one of the things that we'll be doing is taking the driveway to Chattahoochee Pallets. That'll be relocated from where it is now, where it's right in the railroad crossing, to get it like basically located between Allied Drive and the railroad crossing. This roundabout has been designed to avoid the stream and some environmentally sensitive area that's here just north of the road. So it was designed to fit between that and, minimize property that needed to be acquired from the site of the school sports complex. This roundabout, it'll also provide the main entrance here. So the one leg of the roundabout now will provide the main entrance to the school sports complex. So this shows through that area. This is where we don't have sidewalk for this short stretch, and we still maintain the multi-use path on the other side. So we have the crosswalks so people can get safely across at the roundabout and make use of the multi-use path. We're narrowing things up a little bit here. The center turn lane is 12 feet now with a 12-foot lane in each travel direction. The one main feature of this project also is we're going to provide a service interchange to provide access from Old Casita Road to I-185. This interchange is going to consist of diamond type diagonal ramps with roundabout control for access to and from northbound I-185, and for access to and from southbound 185, we'll have the exit ramp that comes here to the intersection, and the loop ramp that provides the entrance to southbound 185. Far Road that's located here where the ramps will be needs to be relocated, so we'll realign Far Road to come around to the other side of the apartment complex and connect to Old Casita in a new location. So that intersection is currently signalized, so a new traffic signal will be put in at the new location. Relocated Far Road will consist of one travel lane in each direction. Again, there'll be curb and gutter along the sides of the road, and it'll have a 5-foot sidewalk on both sides. And then as we can see, the two-way left turn lane continues to come through the area and serve the neighborhoods. So we've got the historic districts of these neighborhoods. We've designed it to minimize impacts as much as we can, so that we're not having to acquire or relocate any of the houses in these historic districts. We've got the Cedar Hills Historic District on the north and the Booker Washington Heights Historic District on the south. Now the project continues down, and it'll tie in at Antietam Drive. This is where the roadway ends for the purposes of public travel. It's blocked off just beyond Antietam Drive. So
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Rich. I wanted to ask if you could kind of mention how the roadway will accommodate 18-wheelers.
Okay, the roadway, our design vehicle is a WB67, which is the standard semi. So we've laid out the turning movements at the intersection so that the semi can make that turn. So I mean, like the key areas where people are concerned a lot is the roundabouts, and I'll just go back to that in a minute. I just wanted to say that here we've narrowed the section to 11-foot lanes in each direction and a 12-foot turn lane, and we narrowed the path to a 10-foot path in this area to reduce the impacts to the houses. If we go back and look at this, these have been laid out so that a semi can make the turns through there. So the roundabout is typically the tightest area, and to keep the footprint of the intersection as small as we can, these movements have been laid out. So like the reason for this right turn coming here is to allow the trucks to be able to make that turn, because the angle between these two would be too tight for a truck to make the right turn there. So this right turn bypass is provided. And in roundabouts, the different color that's shown here, that represents the truck apron. So like it's designed so that like when a semi comes through here, the semi can travel on the circulatory roadway, and the trailer off tracks to the inside of the path of the tractor pulling it. And so this truck apron accommodates the wheels of the trailer. They'll go up over this mountable curb and be able to travel on this, so that it's designed for the trucks to go through there. So like where this turn would be too tight, this pattern and color here, this represents a truck apron as well. So while this is a mountable curb, so cars can come up and go and stay in the lane, the big trucks that try to make this tight turn have this concrete section here for the trailer can track inside the path of the truck pulling it, and it'll go over that. So that's the standard design vehicle for the GDOT designed roadways.
Thanks, Rich. I didn't mean to sidetrack you, but I thought that might have been a good time to talk a little bit about one of our questions here was about 18 wheelers, so appreciate that. This is another a good point. I can talk a little bit about the environmental document process. I've brought it up a couple of times, and Rich has talked about how the project's been designed to avoid certain features and environmental features and historic districts. This public hearing is part of that environmental document process, environmental assessment process. The next steps in that process will include incorporating the comments we have received on this project. So through this presentation, these comments will be documented. In addition, as I mentioned earlier, we're collecting comments through the website. We will be able to include those comments in the documentation. Additionally, comments coming to Joe Gillis and William through phone calls and emails will be included in the environmental document process as long as we receive them through December 3rd. Following that, we'll respond to the comments that we have received. And then the next step is preparation of what's called a finding of no significant impact that would be issued by Federal Highway. After that, I want to correct something I might have said earlier about the construction completion. So we are aiming to begin construction in 2022. It's our aim, and as we talked about that taking 3 years or 36 months, we could have this project open for traffic in 2025, and it would just likely be the end of 2025. And as has already been mentioned, the right-of-way process is ongoing. So we don't have any comments to address right now. Let's see. I'm looking back at our comments about displacements and renters that maybe renting a place that could be displaced. We may be able to provide a summary on that. William, do you have some information that you can provide about the process for tenants?
Yeah, I can do that. Just give me 1 second.
Sure. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No. So renters that will be displaced during this project, they will be given a relocation package. That package includes 3 rental properties that they can choose from, or they can find their own place to rent. The package that they will receive will tell them what their moving payment is and if they qualify for a lump sum rental payment. And each of those packages will be dependent on each renter's living situation.
That's great. So that'll be part of the ongoing process that we've discussed. Thank you. I want to return to the question of construction phasing. Rich, I believe you discussed this earlier about how we talked about the project you put together staging plans and the contractor that ultimately wins the bid for the project has the leeway to construct the project in another following another staging plan. Is there more you can discuss along those lines, or maybe describe again what you've discussed?
Well, what we've laid out is the plans where it'll involve providing, in some spots, there'll be some temporary pavement. There are some asphalt will be put down to move the traffic over enough to build a portion of the new roadway, and then the traffic would be moved to that portion of the new roadway, and then the rest of the new roadway would be constructed. In some areas, so like the roadway will be completely like rebuilt, the pavement on the west half of the project. The east half of the project will be doing the widening, and so in that area we'll widen on one side and then shift the traffic over onto that widening and build the widening on the other side, and then we'll come back and resurface, place the final surface over the existing road and the widening on both sides as the last step. The area for the most of Fire Road, that'll be built before the northbound entrance ramp would be built. And so Fire Road, that's on new location, and the ramps are on new location. So the ramps and Fire Road can be built, and then where they affect traffic will just be at the tie-in points. So the widening on the freeway for the ramps will require a freeway lane to be closed, but the freeway itself will stay open with at least 2 lanes through there. And we're not looking at detouring, so we'll be constructing this, with leaving enough pavement open to accommodate the traffic during construction. And the contractor has to maintain access to the properties while he builds the road.
Right, and the contractor will make a decision whether to build, begin work on one side, either on the west side or the east side, depending on consulting your phasing plans and also what seems best to the contractor. Is that the case?
Yes. Yeah, the contractor is not required to follow our staging plan. We have to provide a staging plan so that we can show that the project can be constructed, but the contractor often comes up with a phasing scheme that he sees more advantageous to his operations.
Great, thank you. Oh, yes, and we can point out that, a lot of things go into those decisions, including how construction might affect utilities and other considerations. So at this stage, we wouldn't be able to say, the project's construction will begin at on the western side of Fort Benning Road. It would really just be a matter once the project is in the hands of the contractor, that's when decisions like that will be decided. Right. Thank you for that. William, I wonder if we can go back to the discussion regarding displacees. We maybe we can just come. I know this question is on a lot of people's minds, so we might want to discuss it again.
Sure. So I'll just give a synopsis of what's in our environmental assessment. So for relocations, 13 buildings, including 1 church, 7 businesses, 3 family residences, and 2 apartment buildings would be displaced. The preferred alternative we're discussing today would relocate 2 apartment buildings, which include 28 tenant occupied units. The single family houses are on the western side of the project along Casita Road. The 28 tenant buildings are split between 2 apartment buildings in the Parkway Place apartments, and the 1 church displacement is Mount Pilgrim Baptist Church, which has been relocated and they are under construction of their new facility.
That's very good. Thank you. We are at it's 7:30 now. We've gone through the presentation we have here a couple of times just to make sure anybody that showed up a little later they were able to get another overview of the project. Earlier this evening, I went to the website and kind of walked through an overview of that. We don't have any questions right now, so it might be a good time to just do that again, just in case anyone was not able to see that earlier. Does that sound all right with you, Rich and William?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that sounds good. That'll be helpful.
Okay, I'm gonna borrow the screen. So again, here we are at our website. This website gives you a lot of good information about the project. We have some summary information about our project. Of course, here again, we were trying to advertise our meeting tonight. We have a little description of why the project was proposed, as well as a map to show you where the project is and some funding fiscal information. We have some summary information about the benefits of the project here. And here is a space we have some summary information about the project again, a few more details about where it is, but we also have our project documentation. I mentioned earlier, so well, just to come back to this, there's a little bit of an introductory presentation available here. Our GDOT has pre-construction status reports where you can find information about the project that's available to the public. We have a project layout if you'd like to take a close look at the project, looking at the layout. This allows you to zoom in on features and see exactly more of the details than where we've seen in Rich's presentation, where you'll be able to kind of take control of the layout and zoom in and out. I have the environmental documentation here that was approved by Federal Highway in September, and this meeting, as I was saying earlier, this meeting is part of continuing that documentation to arrive at a decision about the project's environmental impacts. We have some additional information about or attachments that go along with the environmental assessment, the environmental documentation. We have a link to GDOT's right-of-way information, a link to GDOT's information on Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, its stormwater management program, and some information about Section 106 about the National Environment or National Historic Preservation Act. We come again to more for project description information here, and another link to the concept layout. This link here is the same as the one above. And another map with some more details about the project. Some of these we've already seen in William Easton's presentation, part of the presentation. We also have frequently asked questions here, and these questions include, again, how the project will impact the neighborhood, and Rich has talked a little bit about the way we wanted to ensure considerations of the neighborhood were taken in to the development of the project. We've covered how properties will be maintained, access to properties will be maintained during construction of the project. Provided some summary information about why we proposed using a roundabout for the project, and we have a link to more information about roundabouts and their use in the state. Another summary description about how the project is being funded, and a link for more information about the Transportation Investment Act program is available here. Some summary of the environmental assessment is provided here, and another description and overview of right-of-way, including a link to our right-of-way pamphlet, which we linked to earlier. And again, I want to reiterate, we're here to get your feedback. We've received your comments today. If you think of something later this week or any time between now and through December 3rd, you can come back here, you can leave a comment through this, takes us to a form where you can enter your name and contact information and your comments. You can also, you're uncomfortable using the form, or if you know someone you want to share information about the project and you know that the person maybe would prefer to call or email, we have contact information for our project manager, Joe Gillis, and Mr. Easton, who's been speaking today. And just to reiterate, we've got this information is available, or this link to provide a comment, and we'll be taking comments to include in the environmental documentation through December 3rd. And as we take your comments, we'll put together a response letter. Typically, a lot of people have the same comments about the same sorts of concerns. So what we usually do, as long as the question or the comment that we receive is not about a specific person's property, we don't want to share any information specific to a person's property. But what we'll do, as long as those comments it makes sense to face the public, and we have a response to those comments that we can share with the public, we'll share them with anyone. So if anybody who leaves a comment. So in other words, we take all the comments we've received and we'll compile responses. And in our response that we provide to you, you'll see not just your comment, but comments made by other participants in this meeting, or other folks that have commented and asked questions and provided comments in other ways. So when we respond. If you've provided us your contact information, we'll respond with a follow-up that includes all of these comments. So I think with that, I can hand it back over to you, Rich.
You'd like us to go over them. Questions?
Have any more questions come in?
We haven't received any more questions.
I mean, I could go show just the areas since there was some questions about the displacements.
Okay.
The apartment buildings that are being displaced are the ones right along the eastern edge of the Parkway Place apartments. So we've tried to bring Far Road over far enough that we got good spacing from the interchange access. And, you know, we just, there wasn't any place to come through without affecting anything, but there we just got those apartment buildings. The single family homes that you know were impacted. There's this property right here was one that was occupied, and these two were vacant, but they're small houses built very close to the road. So these properties were being purchased, and just widening the road put it right up either into or right against those houses. So so those are the three residential properties.
That's good. Thank you, Rich. And I do want to note, let's see. So we're going to be compiling the comments and the questions that we've received during this presentation, and if to receive those, can you anybody who's would like to ensure they receive like compilation of the comments and questions in a letter, could you provide in the chat your email, name and email? These will remain private, but we'll use this to send you compilation of the comments and questions and our responses that we received through this meeting. Oh, additionally, I should note that this presentation will be available on the project website. We're gonna try to get it up tomorrow, but worst case, it'll be the end of the week. And if you want to provide, if you can't provide an email address, you know, you can provide a home address and we can send you a hard copy. I think at this stage, so we've gone over the comments a few times, or the gone through the presentation a few times, but I think we'll be here for the next 15 minutes collecting contact information and as questions come up, we'll be monitoring those questions and comments come up, and we may come back and address those. We may be able to come back and address those in the next 15 minutes. So you won't necessarily hear anything from us unless we see a comment that we can address. Rich and William, does that sound all right to you?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. And if anybody that's still attending knows of anybody else that wasn't able to attend the meeting, or has trouble attending the meeting tonight, please give them my phone number or email address, and I can get in touch with them and help them with any questions or comments they may have about the project.
So I see we've got one more question about might be about construction staging. Will you complete one part of the project at a time instead of tearing up many places at once, or we'll have to wait until the entire project is completed before we have access to our business, home, or church? I think that's another kind of construction staging and access question. We can answer that.
Well, the contractor will be required to maintain access to the properties during construction. So that there will be access, and the contractor should like coordinate with the property owners. There's normally not any like requirement for the contractor to build it, in a certain way. Or so, I mean, we have the recommended construction sequence, but the contractor frequently comes up with their own plan and just gets that approved by the DOT. I mean, normally they'll do one type of operation. So if they do like grading or where they have to remove pavement, they'll do that in one area, but they still have to stage it and do some separate operations for like each side of the road, because they have to keep enough pavement open to maintain 2 lanes of traffic past their construction operations. I mean, there is an exception. Sometimes during the day they'd use flaggers, for short durations to maintain 2-way traffic on 1 lane, and that'll have to be done in a small area of the project where things are really tight. But they have to accommodate traffic in both directions.
That sounds good. Thank you, Rich. So we're coming up on the end of the hour. I just want to offer a few closing remarks, and we just want to really thank you all for participating. I think this has been a successful meeting. We had a lot of great questions from the public. And just to reiterate, we are still taking comments and questions through December 3rd. You can leave your comments through the online form on the website, or you can reach out by phone or email to provide your comments. We prepare a response letter to the comments we receive, and this can take some time. We like to be thoughtful about our responses, and we may take until at the end of the year or early next year before we mail out your responses. We'll also be posting the response to the website when it's complete. But so please feel free to reach out and get your comments and questions into us. But again, thank you, William. Rich, is there anything we should touch on before we get to the end of the hour?
The only thing that I'd like to say is just to reiterate what Sam said. You can see Joe's contact information and my contact information. We're available for comment to be included into the public involvement process until December 3rd. After December 3rd, I'm still available to answer any questions. Those questions and comments just will not be included in the public involvement process, but I'm more than happy to talk with any citizens that have questions about this project.
All right. Thank you. And thank you all.